Hi, and welcome back to another episode of It's All Connected. I'm Corbin Shanklin. I'm a writer for the Illuminerdi. This is the second week of the show. Go ahead and introduce yourselves to the viewers.
What's up, guys? I'm Richard Nebens. I am another writer for the Illuminerdi. I am the kind of Marvel guy at the website, which means I am in heaven, cloud nine, whatever you want to call it this week, with everything we get to talk about this episode. So glad to be here.
Sure.
I am Bryce West. I'm a writer and editor for the Illuminerdi.com. And if you watched last episode, maybe we'll have better connection this time. However, before the episode, it didn't seem to be too promising, but we'll see.
Here's hoping.
Yeah. Right. So obviously, anyone who's paying attention on social media to the Disney Plus Investors Day, we saw an insane amount of news, crazy amount of Marvel stuff. We're really excited to talk about that. Before we get into that, though, all of that is coming in the future, starting kind of January 15th with WandaVision. There's a superhero movie out right now in theaters and available to stream on Amazon Prime. It's called Arch Enemy. It's from director Adam Egypt Mortimer. He directed an indie film, kind of psychological thriller called Daniel's Not Real. Stars Joe Manganiello, Deathstroke Nation. Will rise up for that. I had the pleasure of interviewing both the director and one of the lead actors, Skyland Brooks, who plays Hamster in the film. And the basic premise of it is so Joe Manganiello plays this guy named Max Fist, and he's this kind of homeless drunk who claims that he's from another dimension, used to be a hero, right? And so Hamster is this young kind of storyteller, reporter who meets Max Fist and just wants to tell his story. He doesn't know if there's any truth to it, but he's drawn to the guy, and they go on an adventure kind of unlike any other. It's a really unique film. It's largely live action, but actually blends some animated sequences into it. I can't recommend it highly enough. It was better than Bloodshot. It was better than Birds of Prey. It was better than New Mutants. It's top notch. I'd highly recommend y'all check it out. But
do you have a video of that, Corbin?
Of Arch Enemy?
No, like the interview that you did.
Your interview, yeah.
Oh no, it was just scripted. Yeah, we did it over the phone.
Because I was gonna say we can insert that like right here if you want, but okay.
That'd be dope. No, it's just in written form. But there's some really interesting stuff in those interviews, particularly about the future of the franchise. So once you do watch it, if you want more, there's some hints and tidbits about what might be coming next. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started rolling on the Marvel stuff. Richard, you want to take that away?
So we got dumped on at the Disney investors meeting with a whole new bunch of Marvel stuff. I mean, considering this was the first year since 2009 that did not have a single piece of MCU content. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. notwithstanding, I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe not canon, but it's great.
Yeah.
But next year is going to be slammed. I mean, we've got at least 5, if not 6 new Disney Plus shows coming next year, as confirmed by release dates from the investors meeting. And they also introduced 6 new projects. Actually, I think 7 new projects, which we're going to get into later. But first, we have 4 new trailers to talk about. There's a second trailer for WandaVision, which is officially coming out in just about a month. So excited for that. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier released its first trailer, which is going to release on March 19th, which that one looks amazing. Loki is officially going to release in May. The first trailer for that dropped, and the first trailer for Marvel's first ever animated project, What If, came out as well, which is releasing in summer of next year. So I don't know where you guys want to start, but holy hell, there is so much to get into.
I mean, WandaVision comes out first. Maybe we should start with that.
Yeah, go for WandaVision.
So, we got the second trailer, and it's looking crazier and crazier the more footage that we see. I mean, I don't think any of us really know what to think of that one.
Nope.
It's going to be completely bonkers. The second trailer looks even crazier than the first, which it almost had a sort of a horror kind of vibe to it, with like some aspects to it. So I'm really excited for WandaVision because it is just such a big question mark. And I think I think that's what this series needed to be, because I don't really think that people were too interested in WandaVision before we saw footage of it, but now I think people are pretty intrigued by this. So I am definitely very excited for WandaVision to come out on January 15th.
Yeah, right on. I'm super excited for it as well. And I think something that they've really nailed is we still don't really know what the main plot is. We don't know who the villain is. We don't know how this reality where Vision's alive has come to be, whether that's through Scarlet Witch or possibly through Catherine Hahn's character, who's believed to be Agatha Harkness. I'm not sure if that was confirmed or not.
Just rumors right now, yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, they've given us hints and kind of alluded to it. You know, we see that they're going through kind of different eras of television. That was one of the really cool things of the trailer. You start out in like the black and white kind of Dick Van Dyke era, and then you just move up through the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And just judging by some of the promotional material as well, all the way up to the present day. We see Monica Rambeau, and she interacts with Scarlet Witch, and she seems to be kind of confused. Like maybe she's not supposed to be in this part of, you know, that maybe it's a pocket dimension. We don't know. I think I'm really excited for it because I think it's going to be the most experimental thing we've seen in the Marvel universe, hands down, up until this point in time.
Hold on just 1 second, guys. I'm going to go ahead and switch to a different device because I'm still having problems. So I'm going to see if it's maybe the device I'm on. So you guys keep going.
Okay.
I'll just go grab a different device and see if maybe it's the device, because we upgraded the internet, but it shouldn't keep doing this. So I'm going to try a different device.
We'll see you in a minute.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for me with WandaVision right now, there are a couple interesting things, the most interesting things I saw. We got our first look at Darcy again from Thor the Dark World. So we still don't know exactly what her role is in the show, but we saw her, which is great. And the thing that I kind of noticed, at least from that little the little radio thing that Wanda heard, she may not be in control of everything, because obviously she's created this reality for herself with her and where Vision is still alive. But it seems like there may be somebody else kind of pulling the strings, maybe kind of pulling the strings, like I was saying, and making this absolutely even crazier than she was even expecting. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how exactly that works out, to see how much in control Wanda is. I mean, especially like through the different eras of TV. And then what they were saying is the last 3 episodes are going to be more like Marvel movie. So there's going to be a lot to digest when this comes out.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting things for me with the trailer is that the Mind Stone is featured prominently.
Yes.
Right? And so that's interesting just by virtue of the fact that Thanos destroyed the stones at the beginning of Endgame. So how is that going to factor back in? I don't even have any idea where to start with how the Mind Stone's back in play. Or if it's possibly just an illusion, but we're just gonna have to wait and see.
You have no idea what's real and what's not.
Yeah, the level of illusion that WandaVision has just from the trailers and stuff right now is top notch, and I expect the TV show to be the same way. We're probably not going to get any real answers for at least 3 or 4 episodes. Probably going to be just as confused as we are now.
Yeah, and before we move on to other stuff, not to mention, we have 2 trailers out, and we still have no idea what the plot is. Like, absolutely not a clue.
I think that's the most intriguing part about it, is that we have no idea what to expect. You know, what's coming up. So I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, me too.
January 15th can't get here fast enough. Yeah. So y'all want to get into Falcon and the Winter Soldier next?
I'm down, yeah. So, and that's the great thing is literally a week after WandaVision ends, we get Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So at this point, I think next year, we're going to have possibly 52 straight weeks of Marvel content.
Oh my
God. After nothing in 2020, we're going to be in over our heads in the best possible way.
Not only nothing in 2020, but like half of 2019, we didn't have anything either, because what was Spider-Man Far From Home, like June, July?
Early July, yeah.
Yeah.
A long time.
So it's been
Yeah.
like a year and a half with no Marvel, and now boom, like 2020,
All the Marvel.
all Marvel, yeah. So
and none of
it's
us can
crazy.
wait for it. But yeah, no, Falcon and Winter Soldier. This is actually one I've been really looking forward to ever since they announced it. It was supposed to be the first show to release in the Disney Plus slate before WandaVision took it over. But everything that they have filmed and everything that they showed looks awesome. We saw a tiny bit in the original Super Bowl trailer, which is back from February of, Falcon throwing the shield, all the bullets dropping in front of Zemo. But we got so much more footage this time. Falcon seems like he's really reluctant to kind of take up the superhero mantle Captain America after Steve Rogers held onto it for so long. And the thing I loved about the trailer is there were so many references to the original Captain America movies, Falcon jumping out of a plane, Bucky getting back at Sam, God, I hate you. And just that team up is one of the most intriguing team ups in all of the MCU. We've seen them together a tiny bit in Captain America Winter Soldier, a lot more in Captain America Civil War and Infinity War. And I think they're going to be a really fun duo. And again, we still don't know a lot of what the plot is. We know U.S. Agent is going to play a role in it somehow. We saw him kind of running out on the football field, getting the high fives and getting all the praise. And we also got our first look at what I think are the Flag Smashers, who are going to be some kind of villainous role in this series. I don't know a lot about them, but they seem to fit in really well with the kind of Captain America mythology. But all in all, this series looks awesome. Kevin Feige said this is like a Marvel movie in 6 parts, and it looks exactly like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, this was definitely a really good trailer. I think it really showed off why these characters are going to be so well put together. I mean, we saw that a little bit in the movies, of course, but it was more like side bits. Whereas here, this is going to be like a full on, like, this is the team up that everybody's been wanting. So I am beyond excited. I mean, I find it kind of weird that it's still kind of a mystery on who's supposed to be becoming the new Captain America. I thought that was pretty cut and clear at the end of Endgame, but it seems like it's still kind of up in the air, like who's going to take the shield. So
U.S. government at it again.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, I thought after Endgame it would just be, oh, Sam Wilson, Captain America now. But I guess we still have a little bit further to go for that. But I'm still really excited for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was originally my most highly anticipated out of the original Disney Plus shows announced. WandaVision has since taken that over, but I am definitely still really excited for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a damn good time, without a doubt. And, I think it's just incredible how far, how kind of full circle their role, those two characters have come. Because like you said, we first saw them interact together in Winter Soldier, and they were completely at odds against each other in that movie. Like Winter Soldier was just straight up the villain of that movie. It was obviously a little more nuanced and complicated than that. But, from that to Civil War through, Infinity War and Endgame, and to see them here now as a team, as a unit, dealing with, all we really know is U.S. Agent is probably going to be in an antagonistic role, and Zemo, but we don't know why. We don't know what their motivations are. We don't know a lot of things. We don't know. And Richard, you mentioned the scene of U.S. Agent kind of running out on the field. I'll tell you that shot hurts my soul every time, because if I'm not mistaken, it was filmed at, I think, Duluth High School in Georgia, which I don't live very far away from. And if I'd known that was going down, I would have been there. Binoculars in the trees. I wish I'd known. But yeah, right. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be great. I'm interested to see if it will tie into Black Widow, because it's going to be leading right up to it.
Me too.
So that'll be exciting to see where that series goes, without a doubt.
Yeah, and one thing you were mentioning, Bryce, about how this whole thing of we don't know who's going to be Captain America, I'm really interested to see where they take that, because obviously the fans know, if you watch the end of Endgame, Steve Rogers gave the shield to Sam Wilson. In their eyes, he's Captain America. But I think it's going to be really interesting how much they play into Sam maybe being hesitant about taking the role, how much the U.S. government tries to, stick their nosy little fingers in and, and try to make that not
Cap
happen.
already wasn't a part of the government because he was one of the people who didn't sign the Sokovia Accords. So I don't know why the government is so handsy with Captain America, because he wasn't even a part of the government by the time Endgame was done. So
another mystery to find out.
Yeah, and this is just speculation on my end, but I like to think of it. The American government was probably just in shambles after Endgame. They got, obviously a bunch of people got snapped, so that and they were not the people that saved the day, that brought everyone back. That was the Avengers, who they fought against. They pushed Cap out. And so now that they feel like they have an opportunity to reclaim a hero kind of that was originally theirs, and through having U.S. Agent as kind of fulfilling the new role of Captain America.
This is probably them trying to cover their own asses, honestly.
Yeah, I would imagine it's them trying to save face and trying to say, we can protect you. You don't have to rely on the Avengers. Like, we got your back.
Exactly.
Which just isn't true, but they're gonna want to direct the narrative. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So something I just now kind of thought of is that this series is going to be taking place in 2023 after Endgame, because they did the whole time jump because of the whole blip thing. But during the blip, right, in the time that we've lost was this little tiny pandemic thing that's going on right now. Do you think that happened in the MCU during that time, or do you think that that's going to be a part of it, or because that's a pretty major event that we're missing out right now?
I did hear that they were, I don't know if this is true or not for sure, but I heard that there was going to be some kind of biological weapon that they were going to use as part of the plot somehow, and it may tie back to, what's really going on in real life. I know they do that sometimes, but I don't know for sure. So we'll have to find out if that ties in at all.
I just think it'd be kind of weird for them to never mention it, because it is a pretty major event in the world.
For sure.
Just all of us. So I mean, but obviously it's very likely that in the Marvel universe it never happened, because half the population was gone. So it's unlikely that the pandemic would have spread like the way it did.
It could go either way.
All of us. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with that.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, I think personally, I would kind of prefer they just kind of, let me have a world I can go to where COVID-19 never happened. But on the other hand, Marvel Studios has, in my opinion, the greatest array of storytellers in the world. So if any creative team could create a compelling, interesting story that either touches on or wholly focuses on, how the pandemic would affect, a population, they're the one place I would trust to do it, but I don't know. It could go either way.
Either way, we're going to find out on March 19th, and I'm so happy we finally have an official release date for it.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Let's just hope they stick, with speaking of the coronavirus, there's more headway just the other day on the Pfizer, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, the vaccine that they were going. So that gives me hope that, we're actually going to see them stick to these release dates, but
the Disney Plus release date is I don't think I'm as worried about, but the theatrical ones are going to be what we have to wait and see.
So and they were made to stream, whereas the movies are a little bit of a what's going to happen here, because I mean, Disney's still doing their premiere access, which I think actually we should probably talk about sometime today, because Raya and the Lost Dragon did they did say that would be a premiere access movie. So they're not going the Warner Brothers route. So does that mean that eventually Black Widow, if we're still kind of on lockdown-ish, do you think that maybe that would still go to premiere access? But I mean, so the movies could probably be in trouble, but I don't think anything TV or streaming is going to be an issue. Just simply because they were made to stream and people don't have to leave their homes. The only reason why anything's getting delayed is because nobody can leave to go watch the movie. So So
As long
I
as
think
they
if
can-
you, I think if you can watch it at home, it'll be fine.
As long as they can get the shows filmed and edited, you can stream them.
Yeah.
You mentioned Raya and the Last Dragon, and I would have to double check. If I'm not mistaken, they did say that it's going to be premiere access, but also still have a theatrical release in markets
Correct.
that's open.
Yeah.
And that was the right call to make. You know, like we talked about last time with Mulan, that's not what they did there. They did exclusively premiere access, and they lost a viewer in me. Now,
Right.
I will probably see Raya and the Last Dragon. So if I don't have any problem with them doing streaming and theatrical release at the same time, as long as I and anyone who feels comfortable going to a theater and feels that is safe has the option to do that. Because we all want to see Marvel movies on the big screen. It's just a question of, are they open in your area, and is it safe, and are you comfortable?
Exactly.
Well, I do still have a problem with it because I live out in the middle of nowhere, so there's no theaters open near me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just don't get why Disney doesn't just release them straight to on demand like most of the other studios. Why does it have to be a Disney Plus pay an extra $30 thing? Because I'm paying $30 for a movie that I'm never even going to own because it's on Disney Plus, right? So, and then 2 months later, it'll just be free for everyone else. I would pay the $30 to watch Black Widow if it was a digital video on demand copy that I own. However, that's not the case. I'm basically paying $30 to borrow a movie for 2 months until it's free for everyone else.
That's
and then I don't get to keep it. Like if I get rid of Disney Plus, which I don't see me ever doing, but if somebody were to get rid of Disney Plus, then they would lose the movie that they paid $30 for. So that's my major issue with Premier Access. I don't plan to ever support Premier Access. It almost sounds, for me, even scummier than what HBO Max did with their theatrical stuff, and that's pretty scummy. Especially to the creators and the people who made the movie. But not only is this scummy to them, but it's also scummy to the consumers, the watchers like us who want to watch the film. But like we're paying $30, but we don't get to own it. I just got a message saying there's no time limit on the Zoom meeting now, so I don't.
Okay. Me too. Yeah.
So I don't know if we're gonna get cut off or if we're not, but
we'll find out.
Right on. Yeah, I got that same notification last time. I just figured that was like a one-time only thing, but maybe we'll be in luck. And I will say, just regarding the Premier Access, we've already seen them modify it at least a little bit in the sense that with Raya and the Last Dragon, they're doing theatrical release at the same time as they're doing Premier Access. So I think it's possible that they might try and rework it, maybe change the price point, maybe do what I think you and most people would agree they should do, and make it so that you can actually own the film and have that be your property. If you're going to pay $30 or some exorbitant amount, we could see them kind of modify it and retool it. But obviously that's just speculation. And I don't have any strong reason to believe that will happen, but I think it's possible.
Right.
We'll see.
Well, and then that's another thing. You're paying $30 and you don't even own the film, whereas most video on demand copies that you do own are $20. So you're paying an extra $10 and you don't even own the film. So it's messed up. I don't know. It didn't work for Disney with Mulan. I don't know why they think it's going to work for Raya and the Last Dragon, and hopefully they're not boneheaded enough to do it with Black Widow. Honestly, I would rather them delay the film until like 2023 if that's what it takes, because I'm not watching that film on Premier Access and paying $30 to not even own the film. So,
well, hopefully we won't have to wait that long. But hey, I'm just
that was an over exaggeration, of course.
Yeah,
but
hey, I'm just glad we're finally getting Marvel content again.
Oh yeah,
next year's gonna be great, anyways. So hopefully the movies will come along with it.
We should probably move on to Loki now, right?
I was gonna say we got 2 more trailers to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, Loki was my favorite trailer and my favorite announcement of the whole deal. I love Tom Hiddleston's Loki. I think everyone does. He's just absolutely absolutely fantastic in the role. I'm super excited because this is going to be the first Marvel Studios production that does not take place in the greater MCU, right? Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., obviously, in season 6 and 7, they kind of already explored these different dimensions where, you know, it's the same characters that we're familiar with, but outside of the main MCU timeline. But now we're getting to see what that looks like when Kevin Feige does it, and with all of the money and high production value.
Yes.
So that's super cool. Owen Wilson looked great.
Yes.
It looks wild and crazy. I think one of the most exciting things about it is towards the end of it, when it looks like he's supposed to be DB Cooper, and he jumps out the plane, and he specifically says Heimdall, brother, like, are you, you know, yeah. And so, are we gonna see Thor and Heimdall, but like different versions of them? Like this is a different version of Loki in the show.
Heimdall, he's dead, right?
Heimdall's dead.
Well, Heimdall
Infinity War
of our universe, though, right? Heimdall of this Loki's universe still kicking out there, and so that's interesting. And there's also the grand question of how is this going to factor into Doctor Strange 2? Because that was confirmed. The Loki is going to play a role in that. So
possibly Thor:
really?
Love and Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
I did not see that. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if Loki's confirmed for Doctor Strange 2, but I mean, either way, it's probably going to connect to both of those movies somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. If I'm not mistaken, he announced that WandaVision was going to tie in, and then later he just kind of slipped it under the rug in like an interview or something. I'll find the link and send it to y'all after that. But I'm pretty confident that Loki was confirmed to be a player in Doctor Strange 2. So it's gonna be like. Actually, I guess it comes out after Spider-Man 3. But Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange 2 are going to be like what Civil War was, like mini Avengers
absolutely.
films. You
Absolutely.
know, seeing so many different things converge in one film. It's going to be incredibly exciting. What do y'all think about the trailer?
Well, can I just say an overall thought about the trailers?
Yeah.
The production value looks incredible. They look damn near as good as the movies.
Mm-hmm.
If not on the same exact level. I mean, the time and the care and the money that they're putting into these series, they look so good. I mean, this is what people were expecting when they announced like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Daredevil series and the Defenders and all that. But now that Disney Plus is here, and now that the TV and movie divisions are together, these look incredible. Mm-hmm. But in terms of specifically Loki, I mean, this series looks absolutely crazy. I'm an Owen Wilson fan. I've loved him in almost everything I've seen him in. I cannot wait to see what he does in here. I mean, he's working with the Time Variance Authority. And the good thing about Loki, too, kind of on a tangent, is this is the first real footage we've seen of it. The first Super Bowl trailer showed off mostly Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision. We got that 2-second clip of Loki. He's like, I'm going to burn this place to the ground. And then, but then this goes full bore into it. And the fact that they said it would tie off directly from when he used the Tesseract to escape Avengers Endgame. Mm-hmm. They showed that scene in the trailer. So it's going to come off directly from the end of Endgame. And I'm so excited to see where they take Loki. I mean, the multiple dimensions things, the possibility of Thor and Heimdall maybe showing up. There was a rumor yesterday that Sif maybe coming back as some kind of a player in it because she's going to be in Thor 4. And this series is going to be crazy.
Yeah, so, I mean, my first thought of the trailer is, will Owen Wilson say the word wow at any point in the show?
He's got to. He's got to, right?
I literally used that in the title for the article I wrote when that released.
There you go. Well, I hope so, because I don't think it would be an Owen Wilson project if they didn't say wow at some point. Yeah. Wow, Loki, wow. But
Loki, wow.
You mentioned the plane scene. And I remember whenever I watched the trailer, I literally turned to my dad and I go, tell me he wouldn't be a perfect James Bond, Tom Hiddleston.
Totally.
Man. I want Tom Hiddleston to be James Bond so bad. I've been hearing that they've been looking at Tom Hardy, but oh man,
Tom Hiddleston would nail Bond.
Dude, Tom Hiddleston needs to be James Bond at some point
Someday.
because he would be a perfect Bond. But yeah,
Yes.
I am intrigued because technically this should be in the timeline in Endgame. It's not in the main timeline because it's in a different timeline in Endgame,
Right.
when they stole the Tesseract, or well they tried to.
Right.
So I don't know how they're going to connect that to the main MCU, if that's even possible. Because it's supposed to connect to Thor: Love and Thunder, it's supposed to connect to maybe Doctor Strange too, but how? Because he's in a different timeline. This isn't the main Loki. This isn't the Loki that we all know. So I just don't really know how they're going to spin this together. I guess the other Gamora technically is on the main timeline now, but we never saw Loki make it to the main timeline in Endgame. So that's going to have to happen at some point. But it seems like he's kind of traveling through time anyway, so he's probably going to be going to different timelines and stuff. So maybe that'll just be pretty easy. Boom, he's in the main timeline, but that's it.
Absolutely.
If I'm not mistaken, this is the first MCU project to be focused on a villain, right?
Yes,
The first
yes,
one?
it is.
Yeah, it is.
Mostly count Infinity War, but that's it.
Yeah. Well, DC's already had a couple of those, but this is going to be the first time that Marvel gives it a shot. So that's definitely something to look at as well, to see how Marvel handles the sort of villain things, because I have the feeling that Loki will probably end up being more of an anti-hero, which is usually what he is anyway, most of the time. So it's probably going to be more of like a Harley Quinn style thing, what they did Braid, where she's technically a villain, but she's also the hero of this film. So
and I think too, if there's any villain to start off your villain franchises with, who better to pick than Loki? I mean, he's, I think, outside of Thanos, the top villain that Marvel has ever produced. So everybody loves
really
him.
Close.
Yeah,
I would just say, well, Loki's better, but it's really close. Like
they're number one and two
I
regardless.
To say that Loki's on top, but it's like neck and neck. So
yeah, they're 1 and 2.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think my last thoughts on Loki. If this show kicks as much ass as it looks like it's going to, Thor: Love and Thunder, is of the same level of quality that Ragnarok was. I've always thought that Captain America was the best franchise in the MCU. The Thor franchise is looking like it might take that spot. If these are up to the level of quality I expect them to, I think that's a definite possibility.
The Thor franchise is on the upswing for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thor Ragnarok. Well, like Thor 1 was okay, and then Thor 2 was pretty terrible. But then Thor Ragnarok just shot up to the sky, and I think they're gonna keep soaring from Loki on. I'm really excited for both Loki and Thor: Love and Thunder. And you know what? I'm gonna say it. I think we need a core Disney Plus show. I think if they want to keep the upward trajectory, I think we need to give Taika Waititi his core.
We haven't
show.
had enough Korg.
They should make it like a what they're doing with I Am Groot, to where it's in the MCU, but it's like kind of like animated. I think that'd be perfect.
We'll get into that series later, but that would be amazing. I would watch the hell out of that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, and speaking of animation, so that was the other big trailer of the Disney Plus Investor Day was What If?
Yes.
And that, I said earlier, I think WandaVision is going to be the most experimental thing we've seen thus far. What If might take the spot from WandaVision. It's got the potential to. It's going to be an anthology series that follows, what if some critical moment in the Marvel Universe happened differently, whether it's Marvel Zombies or Peggy Carter as Captain America I think it's going to make a lot of people really
T'Challa as Star-Lord.
It's going to be very bittersweet to see Chadwick Boseman's final outing as the character people love so much. It hit home with fans all across the globe. I think that's definitely going to be the most anticipated episode. It makes me sad. That's the last time we'll see him in the role, but I think it's going to be an incredible experience. The whole show, not just that episode. Yeah. What did y'all think of What If?
Yeah. On the Chadwick Boseman front, the rumors were that he had recorded his lines before he passed away. And it really does sound like him in that last line of the trailer. And, it's going to be great. It's going to be a really great tribute to see Chadwick Boseman in the role of Black Panther just one last time. And it'll be a way for fans to celebrate his legacy. I mean, he's done such an incredible job as the Black Panther. And I mean, obviously in everything he did, but this will be a great way to remember him and pay tribute to him. And it's something to look forward to. But even besides him, I mean, this series looks crazy. The animation looks beautiful. Can I just say that? I mean, I've heard something that an episode of this series takes about a month or two to complete. And it's probably the actors have probably all completed their voiceover a while back, and they've been working on this series for a good long while already. And the possibilities, I mean, are obviously endless. Jeffrey Wright sounds incredible as a watcher. Seems like Nick Fury is going to play a big role in this series again, just as he has in the entire MCU so far. It's gonna be bonkers. I can't wait for What If.
Yeah. So will Chadwick Boseman get to play Black Panther? Because I know he's T'Challa, but he's like supposed to be like Star-Lord, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so in the trailer, it's Yondu takes T'Challa instead of Peter Quill from Earth. So I think it's just going to be
but I think that's
super
the whole point
weird.
of the show, but
it's if you had told me 6 years ago that we would see Yondu kidnapping the Black Panther from Earth and turning him into Star-Lord, I would have asked what you were on and where can I get some.
Yeah. But I mean, it's going to be another thing like Loki. Like, how are they going to connect this all? Because it's in the MCU. They've stated that it is an MCU production. So, and they're doing a bunch of multiverse stuff right now. I mean, multiverse is literally in the title of Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. We're doing Spider-Verse now, which I just realized that we still got to get to all that. But but where does What If fit into the MCU continuity right now? Why is What If happening right now? Because there's a reason. Kevin Feige's got something going on. You know, he doesn't do anything for no reason, or just for fun. So there's a reason they're doing What If, and I'm just really excited to find out what that reason is.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Kevin Feige doesn't do anything just for fun, but it is for fun because these series are incredible.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think What If is going to be a fantastic new addition to the MCU. It's going to be unlike anything we've seen before. But yeah, if y'all want to, so I think that covers us for the trailers. The first bit of other news that I want to talk about, I'm gonna cover two things at once here because I have a strong feeling that they're going to be connected. So we got the Ironheart series announced, right?
Yes.
And that had been rumored. And then we also got an Armor Wars series starring Don Cheadle back as War Machine. And that came out of left field. I don't think that really surprised me.
I was excited for. Like
I didn't see that coming at all.
Whenever I saw that.
Yeah, I've been clamoring for a War Machine spinoff of some kind for quite some time. I think Don Cheadle is fantastic in the role. And so I'm really excited for Armor Wars, and I think Ironheart has to play a role in that in some way, shape, or form. Totally. Without a doubt. I also think it's likely that we'll see maybe Pepper Potts' rescue back. Potentially, I forget what his name is. The kid from Iron Man 3. Either y'all
Harley.
His
Yeah,
name.
Harley.
Yeah, Harley. I think we might see him. That's possible. But with Ironheart, I will say I'm not an expert on Riri Williams. I've read a little bit of her stuff. That is the only announcement that I saw, and I was like, oh, this might be a bad idea. Not because I don't want to see the character. I think there's potential there. But in the comics, Ironheart creates her own Iron Man suit, and then like Jarvis was to Iron Man, or Friday to Peter in Spider-Man Homecoming, an AI of Tony Stark is to Riri Williams. And I don't want Robert Downey Jr. back. I don't want him back now. I don't like he died. It really freaks me out because that's a strong possibility now. And like I'd be down to see him 15 years from now in like a crazy Secret Wars event or something like that. But honor his memory, let him stay dead. I really hope War Machine is her mentor. I think that would be awesome. It would be a twist from what they did in the comics. But as we know, the MCU is by no means beholden to the exact details of the comic book storylines. Yeah. So I think those two series are going to be really interesting to see what they do, how they're different from the original storylines. I can't wait to see more War Machine. It's going to be great.
Well, I mean, you're forgetting that Spider-Man is literally a Iron Man spinoff at this point. So I mean, they could do anything. I mean, Pepper could be the AI for, and honestly, I think that'd be kind of cool actually. But I'm excited for Ironheart. I'm excited for Armor Wars. I'm glad they didn't do Ironheart and didn't give Don Cheadle something because I feel like that kind of would have been like a slap in the face. Like he's been there since the beginning. And he still hasn't gotten his time to shine. Whereas it seems like everybody else that's been there since Phase 1 is getting their own solo projects now. Even Scarlett Johansson, her character died in Endgame. So I'm glad that they're giving Don Cheadle his solo project. And I'm really excited to see that connect with Ironheart. I know people are really excited about Ironheart. We did a article on Illuminerdi, and it wasn't even our exclusive. I was reporting on something that Charles Murphy from Murphy's Multiverse said, and the article blew up. So Ironheart is definitely a very like a fan favorite character right now.
Popular right now, yeah.
So I definitely think this is a good move. I understand Corbin's worry about them doing a Tony Stark AI. I don't see them doing that in the MCU because Tony Stark was still alive, right? Whenever they did.
It was kind of a complicated mess. Captain Marvel put him in a coma or something. I don't know. It was messy.
Well, and here's my thing. The only thing I'd be okay with Robert Downey Jr. coming back for is What If, because they're going back to the past. If he plays Iron Man again for that, I wouldn't be mad at it. But I'm kind of with you. I'd rather see him dead. Here's my thing, I think, with Riri Williams and how I think it connects to the rest of what they announced and what's been announced already. Mm-hmm. How long is it until they announce that they're doing a Young Avengers project? Because with Riri Williams, Kate Bishop, Miss Marvel, Cassie Lang, I mean, they have to be going that route, right? There's too many dominoes in place for them not to take advantage of that in the near future. And especially with how much they announced yesterday and how much this is kicking off so many younger versions of these classic characters, it's going to happen eventually. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, and we've got Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop. We've got Spider-Man. We've got Ironheart. We've got
Miss Marvel.
Yeah, Miss Marvel. We've got the new Black Widow. We have a buttload of young new legacy characters. Cassie Lang. That's another bit of news, which wasn't a big thing, but I'll just hit on real quick. Ant-Man and the Wasp 3 got an official title. And I got to say, I'm so excited for everything coming out. I hate the titles they're doing. I don't like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I don't like Thor Love and Thunder. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? Are you kidding me?
I do not like that title.
Are you kidding me?
That is the greatest title ever. I love that title.
Illuminerdi Wars. Illuminerdi Wars.
I love that. That is the greatest title to any of the Marvel movies. That if I made a top 10 list of greatest MCU movie titles, Quantumania would be number 1.
Yeah.
Well, that is the greatest title ever.
In terms of titles, I already have a title for if and when they do Deadpool 3. Mm-hmm. Deadpool M3U.
Nice.
There you go. If they don't do that, then I'm not watching it.
You don't even have to pay me for it, Feige. I will take no credit for it. But but yeah, no. I mean, regardless of the title, I'm a fan of the title, but I get maybe why you're not. I'm excited for Ant-Man 3. I mean, they're introducing Kang the Conqueror in this movie. Now, I'm betting he's not going to have a ton of screen time, maybe kind of like a a Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy kind of
Mhm.
role in this film, but he's going to be there. And he's going to be in the MCU for a while.
Well, yeah, I could see him being their next Thanos. Like he kind of pops up in
Absolutely.
Ant-Man 3, and then or Ant-Man and the Wasp 2 or whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah.
and then he like shows up in the next Avengers movies down the line and everything. So,
Okay.
and then there's also Secret Invasion. So that's obviously going to play a
Secret
huge
Invasion.
role.
I cannot
So-
believe they're going Secret Invasion.
Real quick,
Yeah.
before we get into Secret Invasion, I just had a thought. What if Kang the Conqueror is the unifying factor between Loki and What If, these shows that are on other timelines? Because that's his thing, right? Time travel.
I have heard
different
rumors that they
timelines.
may introduce. I've heard rumors that they may introduce Kang in Loki, or at least a tease for him. So
Yeah.
that's not a bad thought.
Yeah, it would be really cool to see if that's the reason, like you said, because there's got to be a reason for What If. What if, I don't know exactly how, but Kang is involved in whatever that is. But yeah, Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion is going to be dope. I think I love Nick Fury. I thought he was the best part of Captain Marvel, and I love Talos as well. I'm seeing I think those are the only two cast members confirmed for it so far.
So far.
I will say, I think it's going to be like Civil War in the sense that it is drastically different than the actual comic book storyline for a couple of reasons. For one, the Skrull have been presented as good guys so far in the Marvel Universe. Obviously, Captain Marvel sets them up to be villains, but then we find out that's not the case. Whereas in the comics, the plot of Secret Invasion is that for years, Marvel heroes have been kidnapped by the Skrull and replaced by shapeshifters. And that's the other thing, too, is that I just don't think that's going to work as well in movies as it did in comics, because comics are such a serialized format where you get so many stories over such a short period of time. But with even with the Disney Plus shows, you only have so much screen time with these characters. And to say, oh, well, that was actually someone else, that was an alien just wearing their face, I don't think that's going to work as well in live action in the MCU as it does in the comics. So I'm excited for it, but I think it's going to be very different than what fans are familiar with.
Well, I mean, and there's also the fact that the shock value is gone. There's no shock. Like, we already know that the Skrulls are here, whereas in the comics it was like a what? Like, like what do you mean? Like Captain America was like some weird looking alien thing.
Right.
Like so I mean, like, we already know that the Skrulls exist. We already know that they're here. So if they revealed that, like, I don't know, Hawkeye was a Skrull this whole time, it wouldn't really have that much of an impact as it probably did back whenever they originally did Secret Invasion in the comics. The one thing that I am absolutely blown away by is that we already knew that Nick Fury was going to get his like own series, kind of, because that had been kind of reported before. I just can't believe they actually did Secret Invasion.
Me too.
So like that I was not expecting that. I'm like, that's the Nick Fury show? Like, that's what they're like, holy crap. Like,
yeah.
So that was definitely probably one of the bigger shocks.
I think at this point, Marvel has been so successful and so good for so long. They literally have an endless possibility of what they can do. They can do Secret Invasion with Nick Fury. They can do Ironheart. They can do Armor Wars. They can do any of these projects that have been announced, and they're probably going to be hits.
Yeah, people are going to eat it up no matter what it is, with as long as it's got the Marvel brand attached. Like, I remember when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, I was not nearly as into superheroes and comic books as I am now. And I went to go watch it purely because it was a Marvel property, and it was like my favorite film of the year.
I remember if you guys have ever watched Honest trailers, the Honest trailer for that literally said that Marvel will get you to see anything if you just slap Marvel's name on it. And
it's a fact. Right. It's a fact.
I'm waiting for Squirrel Girl. To come out. $1 billion. Watch them make Squirrel Girl. And if they do a movie instead of Disney Plus show, which they probably won't, but if they did a movie instead of a Disney Plus show, watch it make $1 billion. Watch.
Squirrel Girl could make $1 billion these days.
I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but Squirrel Girl actually at one point was poised to make her debut in the MCU.
I did hear about that.
Yeah, so there was going to be a new Warriors TV show. It was
Right.
originally going to go to Freeform. It starred Melissa Vaintrub, which if you've been in other movies and you somehow see this, I'm sorry. I know you're not just the AT&T girl, but that's what people know you for. The girl from the A&T commercials.
Right.
She was going to be our squirrel girl. And there's a pilot of that out there somewhere that I don't think Marvel will ever release just because that's not really their style.
Right.
I would, if there's any chance of that, I would kill to see that.
I would try it out.
But yeah. So Fantastic Four, we got a small piece of news about.
Yes.
John Watts of Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes.
Far From Home is gonna be doing Fantastic Four. I'm excited for that. I think it does make me a little bit sad because to me, that means he's probably leaving the Spider-Man franchise after Spider-Man 3. We'll probably see another director pick up the reins, and I've loved what he's done with the character. But it also means to me, might we see Spider-Man be a member of the Four? I mean, it's happened before in the comics. And if you got the director the Future Foundation, without a doubt. What do y'all think about that announcement?
It makes me look. I am absolutely thrilled that John Watts is going to be directing Fantastic Four because that means that for the first time we're going to probably have a universally good Fantastic Four movie.
Thank God.
However,
Thank God.
it does make me very, very concerned for the future of Spider-Man because I look, we got burned that whenever it was revealed that Sony was going to be taking Spider-Man back. And they only gave Marvel another 2 films with them, the Spider-Man 3 and then another crossover film in that deal. So part of me is wondering maybe they're trying to wrap this up in Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange and spin it to where Tom Holland will go off into his own universe because they're doing a bunch of multiverse stuff. And then Sony will then continue to keep Spider-Man, and then John Watts. Since Kevin Feige wants to keep John Watts, he moved them over to Fantastic Four, which is a pretty similar property tone-wise. So honestly, that is my theory going on right now. Is probably what they're doing, especially with Spider-Man 3 basically being like Spider-Verse. So they're going absolutely all out bonkers with Spider-Man 3, which we still have to get to that. So I definitely am kind of seeing this now as the grand finale of the MCU Spider-Man, and then he's going to go over to the Spump full time, and then that's kind of what they're going to do.
I really hope not, because at this point, Spider-Man is in the MCU. If Sony wants to keep making money, they have made. I think the first Spider-Man in the MCU made like $800-900 million. Far From Home was $1 billion movie. Spider-Man 3 is going to be a hit no matter what happens because there are so many players involved. It can't not be. So I really hope that doesn't spell doom for the Spider-Man franchise with John Watts taking over Fantastic Four. But John Watts is also taking over Fantastic Four. And I'm so excited from that. This one was just exciting because you knew that Fantastic Four were going to be in the MCU once the Fox and Disney merger went through. Now it's official. The logo, can I just say, looks awesome. They did a great job with the new logo. And now we just have to wait and see who they're going to cast in the roles. But I think John Watts is going to do a great job with that. And then we also have to wait and see when it comes out, when it's going to take place in the timeline. But it's going to be great regardless.
Listen, I don't usually sorry to interrupt, but I usually don't get too involved in fan casting. But if John Krasinski and Emily Blunt aren't in this movie, like, come on. Like, those two will be perfect. Corbin's got something to say about it.
I don't like Emily Blunt. I love Krasinski. I think he'd be a great Reed Richards, but I'll be honest, Mary Poppins is not who I want to Sue Storm.
You know,
I've always found her to be
I'm actually kind of with you, Corbin.
Time that we have.
Well, you made a new friend of my wife with the Emily Blunt comment.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Richard, I'm really excited about Fantastic Four. Emily Blunt. But no, I mean, if you cast one, you got to cast the other, right?
Probably.
And sorry, Corbin, but I think John Krasinski would be a perfect Reed Richard, and I also think that
Right.
Emily Blunt would be a perfect Corbin. Sue Storm. So
Fair enough.
my dream cast was Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Andrew Garfield as Johnny Storm, and John Cena as the Thing. So I don't think we're gonna get Garfield because he's in Spider-Man. But I think it'd be cool to have the rest of those three in there somewhere.
Well, if I could throw mine out, I got Krasinski. I actually wouldn't mind Blake Lively as Sue Storm for me. That's who I would
be here
pick.
for that.
Mostly for the Deadpool references, because Deadpool would be hitting on Sue Storm relentlessly.
Yeah. That'd be funny. Yeah.
I want Zac Efron for Human Torch. I think
that's another one. Yeah.
I think he would kill that role, and I think I'm with you on the Cena thing. I think Cena would be awesome as the Thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like since Garfield is definitely never going to play Johnny Storm, I think Zac Efron's a really good second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have either of you guys seen Cobra Kai?
A little bit.
No.
All right, check it out. Because I was watching it with my little brother the other day, and Billy Zabka, who plays Johnny Lawrence from the Karate Kid films, and Ralph Macchio I want Zabka as Johnny Storm, and I want Ralph Macchio as Reed Richards. I realize they're probably way too old for the story that they're going with, but in the off chance that they want these like 50-year-old men to lead
if
the
they're going
franchise.
50-year-old men, just bring I can't even say his name. Just bring the guy from the first one back.
Yeah, it was like
there you go. Yeah,
Gruffit or something like that.
Gruffud, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know. Sorry, I butchered your name.
And honestly, the Thing, John Cena, we're gonna see his acting chops get can he carry a franchise? I didn't see him in Bumblebee, but with Peacemaker and with the Suicide Squad, he's gonna have his own TV series. I'll tell you, it hurt my soul so bad because I had a Peacemaker exclusive. It looks like the classic characters, Judo Master and Sarge Steel, are going to be in the TV show. Go check that out. But that dropped a couple hours before all the Marvel news hit, and so it just got completely overshadowed. It broke my heart.
Yeah.
But I saw that
for the Thing would be cool.
tweeted. I saw that you tweeted the article out, and just like, oh man, that article is gonna bomb.
Yeah.
Like and it's no fault to yours, obviously. It was just unfortunate because of all the news that came out. But
bad timing.
Yeah. That just stinks. But Peacemaker, he's a Blue Beetle character, right?
I'm not sure what sort of connection.
I know at some point he's crossed over with Blue Beetle. Because I was doing some research on Peacemaker because I'd never heard of him before all this. So and I think he's like kind of like an anti-hero. I don't think he's a villain to Blue Beetle, but I know they've crossed paths a bunch of times. So I'm wondering if maybe they could be doing some like Blue Beetle introduction in that series maybe. And then maybe split Blue Beetle off into his own thing. I'd definitely be there for that. I loved Blue Beetle in Young Justice season 2. It was basically the Blue Beetle show for that. So I would definitely be down for a Blue Beetle project. But I guess that's getting sidetracked here. But quick little sidebar
on Peacemaker before we get back to all the Marvel stuff. I'm excited to see Robert Patrick in that series. One of my oldest longtime friends was on Scorpion with him, and he said he's like the coolest guy ever. And I've just loved Robert Patrick in almost everything he's been in. So I'm excited to see him in Peacemaker.
Yeah, that'll be dope. And so regarding Spider-Man, what you think is going to happen with Spider-Man 3 being the kind of the grand finale of Tom Holland's MCU journey, that's my worst nightmare. Okay, I was heartbroken when they took him out of the MCU. I was literally in a funk for like a week because of it.
Me too.
Honestly.
Me too.
And I was so happy when they got him back.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I think there is several pieces of compelling, maybe not evidence, but just reasons why I think that's less and less likely. I think for one, so Spider-Verse, it was confirmed that Andrew Garfield is going to be back and that Tobey Maguire's in talks, right? And here's the thing. I think I think Sony wants their own Spider-Man franchise that they can just work on without having to bother with Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios, right? If Spider-Man 3 is a hit and Maguire comes on, that opens the door to Spider-Man 4 or Amazing Spider-Man 3. Like, I think those are genuine possibilities. And because that way we can still have Tom Holland have his movies in the MCU. We can continue those storylines. And now interest in them is reinvigorated because of their appearances in Spider-Man 3. Sony can do their own thing. So I think that's a possibility. I think I actually saw an article earlier today that brought up a good point. Another piece of news we got was the confirmation of Christian Bale's character, Thor the God Butcher, in Love and Thunder, right? That character has direct ties to Venom and the symbiotes, and Null, the god of the symbiotes and stuff. So I think it's maybe not likely, but possible that maybe Christian Bale's character is part of how we see Venom join the larger MCU. And then I think another big interesting factor is it's seeming more and more likely that the Spider-Woman movie in development is going to be a joint production between Sony and Marvel Studios, more so than Far From Home, more so than Homecoming was. So is it possible that we're going to see Holland depart the franchise after Spider-Man 3? Yeah, but I also think Sony would be really stupid to ignore the backlash they got when they tried the first time. People were upset. People were really mad. And I think
there will be revolts.
Yeah, I think people were so upset. If I'm a Sony studio executive, I'm going to say we're probably not going to make as much money taking him off on our own like we wanted to, as we will just biting the bullet and continuing to have a partnership with Marvel Studios and splitting profits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely don't want him to leave the MCU. I'm just kind of cautiously
worried that it'll happen.
You know, I'm just really afraid that that's what's going to happen because I mean, whenever Spider-Man left the MCU early on in the year, that's whenever everything was going haywire and the world was ending and everything. So yeah, I was like legitimately like depressed like whenever that happened. And then I remember like I'm pretty sure around the same time that they announced that they had gotten Spider-Man back, I was like getting over like a really like terrible like awful breakup, and so it was just like, well, at least Spider-Man's back in the MCU, you know. So
that's probably just what you needed, my man.
Right?
Yeah. So Tom Holland came for me right there at the right time, you know. So Tom Holland saves the day as per usual. But yeah, no, Tom Holland, his Spider-Man in general means a lot to me. He's definitely a very relatable character for me. So I think Spider-Man and Nightwing are probably almost tied for my favorite superhero ever. So I never want to see him leave the MCU. I just know that is a definite possibility. So and it really seems like they're just going out with a bang on this one. I don't know what else they're gonna do to try to top Spider-Verse, you know. And it's only their third movie, which is what's concerning me, because Spider-Verse for me seems like a fourth or fifth kind of thing. Yeah. Especially considering, like I mentioned last episode, they have so much more to cover from where they left Far From Home off. So I'm just a little concerned is all, but I hope not. But and especially with the weird Venom Morbius stuff going on, I have no idea what to think about what they're doing with Spider-Man.
There's a lot to work out.
I wish Morbius had kept its release date, because we would know by now what the Michael Keaton appearance in that trailer meant. And actually, a fun little side note. So before I joined the Illuminerdi, I had a little website called peppermintcinema.com. I have not retained the domain, so it's now just peppermintcinema.weebly.com. If anyone watching wants to go check it out. And when Spider-Man was pulled from the MCU by Sony, one of the first editorials I ever wrote, because it was mostly movie reviews on that site, was about how I thought we would probably see that decision, you know, changed, and see Spider-Man back in the MCU, but it would mean that we get Venom too, you know, in addition to Spider-Man as a part of the Marvel Universe, because when Venom was in development, there was consistent rumors that Sony wanted a Tom Holland cameo as Peter Parker, that they wanted it to be part of the MCU. And, this was never outright confirmed. But if rumors are to be believed, Kevin Feige and other Marvel Studios executives blocked that. They said, no, we don't want your Venom. Go do your own thing, right? And so the way I always saw that whole process was a matter of Sony basically just grabbing Marvel by the balls and saying, no, you're going to take Venom or we're going to take Spider-Man. These are your options. You know what I mean? And that may or may not be true, but I think the Morbius trailer is an indication that I was right about that.
Maybe.
I think you hit it on the head there. And if that is the deal that they came to, which we don't know yet, then I do think that Spider-Man is probably going to stay for probably the remainder of however long this is going to last. But like I said, we don't really know what the specifics of that deal are because all these movies got delayed, so we haven't gotten to see any of them yet. And I'm pretty sure they're all supposed to be done at this point, right? I mean, they were all supposed to have come out already.
Yeah, Venom 2 and Morbius will be dropping this year. I think Morbius is a summer release date. So it's all eyes on.
And by this
film.
year, you mean 2021?
Yeah, 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 2020 should just be wiped from existence.
Yeah.
Amen.
But if that is the deal that they came to, I can see Spider-Man staying because there's no reason for Sony to pull out anymore because I do agree with you. I think that's probably the reason why, because Amy Pascal, whenever Venom was coming out, she basically tried to say that Venom was in the MCU, and then Kevin Feige went like, no, it's not. So there was always that kind of weird, unexplained, like, what did that mean kind of thing. And I think that kind of makes sense now. Sony, Amy Pascal wanted Venom to be in the MCU, but Kevin Feige and Marvel was resistant because they didn't want kind of Sony meddling with the continuity that they had built since the beginning. So I think hopefully that's the deal that they came to, because I do think Venom needs to be in the MCU. I think Morbius needs to be in the MCU. Spider-Woman, they're all integral to Spider-Man. And right now Spider-Man has nothing to do with them. So I think it's important that they make this deal, if that is the deal that was made, and they bring them all together. Because if that wasn't the deal that was made, I definitely see Sony taking Spider-Man into this funk with all the multiverse, because they have the excuse now. They've got the multiverse stuff going on. They can easily do it. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, either way, I am so excited for Spider-Man 3 to come out. That is going to be an absolutely bonkers movie.
It's going to be crazy,
Yeah.
The other huge piece of Spider-Man 3 news that the only thing anyone was talking about online before this Disney Plus Investors Day stuff was Doc Ock. Alfred Molina confirmed to be in the film. So I think that is interesting because the fact that Alfred Molina's Doc Ock and Jamie Foxx's Elektra will be in the film, even though we don't know in what way, whether it's the actors playing these versions of the characters, but it's a new MCU version of them, or if it's porting them over from the multiverse, or messing with the timeline, because obviously both those characters were dead in their respective films.
Yes.
I think that opens the door up even more to because Venom wasn't supposed to be part of the MCU. But then again, neither was Spider-Man 2, neither was The Amazing Spider-Man 2, So well, I'm excited for more Doc Ock.
And speaking of dead characters, Emma Stone is rumored to be reprising her role as Gwen Stacy, and she's dead. So what I'm thinking is, and I am praying, I want this to happen. So I am hoping that Emma Stone will be playing Spider-Gwen.
Me too. That'd be awesome.
Oh my gosh, she is my favorite Spider multiverse person. I love her suit. I love her character. I absolutely love Spider-Gwen. And if they do Spider-Gwen live action Emma Stone, I would be absolutely over the moon.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but that would be awesome. And another character that's been rumored, or I confirmed kind of, Corbin, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned this yet, Charlie Cox as Daredevil.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So yeah, Daredevil's return.
Was that confirmed? Is that actually
So it was
confirmed
reported. It
happening?
was reported by Murphy's Multiverse, who I think is
I
a
trust.
very, very reliable site. I don't
They're one
think
of the
they-
most reliable sources in the business right now.
I would rank them right alongside us with the Illuminerdi. I don't. They're not about fake news. And
No.
in the event that they get something wrong, they own it. They have journalistic integrity. I respect that. So I believe the report. And then the other thing about it is Charles Murphy and Charles Villanueva, who actually wrote the article, they're both kind of adamantly anti-MCU TV. Like they're not fans of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I feel like. At least that's the way it reads on Twitter.
Yeah, no.
And
Funny story about Charles Villanueva. He is actually the first one that hired me on at MCU Exchange when I first started writing a year and a half ago after Spider-Man Far From Home came out. So, I mean, I have to thank him for even giving me this opportunity. But yeah, no, Charlie Cox in Spider-Man 3 is going to be nuts. I'm so happy he's coming back as Daredevil.
Well, yeah, that concludes our little debate from last week on who would be Spider-Man's lawyer. In the film.
Right?
Yep. Answer to that real
Either him
quick.
or She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the tough thing about it for me though is that while yes, I'm excited to see Charlie Cox as Daredevil, regardless of how it pans out, the question still remains: is this Daredevil from the TV show, from Defenders, from season,
Daredevil.
or is it a new version of the character? Because
I don't think they're doing a new version. They wouldn't have brought back Charlie Cox specifically if this weren't going to be the Daredevil from the Netflix shows.
So here's the thing about it though. At least in my opinion, if that is him, then that means those shows are canon, right?
Right.
Not just Daredevil, but Defenders, and consequently Iron Fist. Which while I loved Iron Fist, I
enjoyed Iron Fist.
I liked Finn Jones in the role. I thought season 2 was a huge improvement over season 1. I understood some people's gripes with it, but that was almost as critically reviled as Inhumans, right? And so if you take Daredevil, you're taking the whole team there. And I'm like, if Kevin Feige was willing to say Hellstrom is not canon and was not willing to work with the writers of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on season 6 and 7 to make sure continuity lined up, because for those unaware, season 5 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. directly lines up with the beginning of Infinity War. They reference the Black Order coming. They name drop Thanos, right? And then in season 6, it takes place a year later, no snap. Why did that happen? Because there was not communication between the old Marvel TV and Marvel Studios before they were split, right? So, we have evidence of him kicking out 2 shows, right? And I just don't know. I really hope that it is the same character that fans of the TV show know and love. But I just don't know if I'm confident that is the case yet.
Look, here's the thing. If they wanted to do something weird and different with Daredevil, I think they would have brought back Ben Affleck instead of Charlie Cox. Because I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. They're bringing back McGuire. They're bringing back Garfield. They're bringing back Dunst. So I feel like if they wanted to do something kind of wacky, multiverse style with Daredevil, they would have brought back Ben Affleck instead of Charlie Cox. So I am under the assumption that this means that Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Punisher, Defenders, they're all in the MCU still. And there's no reason for them not to.
They should be. They really should be.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., yeah, they had some really major continuity breaking stuff happen. But the Defenders, they never broke continuity. At least not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. level. So I don't see why they couldn't be in the MCU. So if Charlie Cox is back as Daredevil, I say, boom, they're all canon.
Well, regardless, Spider-Man 3 is going to be nuts. So, I mean.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of, you mentioned, we had that conversation, is it going to be Daredevil or is it She-Hulk? I don't remember exactly what his comments were, but Kevin Feige basically hinted at Daredevil playing a role in the She-Hulk show. So I think that is cool if that does happen. It wasn't confirmed or anything. But
just the whole interconnectivity between all the new Disney Plus shows and the movies going forward is something I'm so excited for, because Kevin Feige mentioned so much at this meeting about how these shows and the movies are going to connect up with each other directly. Like there's no way that they can avoid it. The MCU is going to blow up the next couple of years.
without a doubt. And then, so just regarding She-Hulk, the only real piece of news we got there was, so Abomination is going to be in the show.
Yes.
Tim Roth's going to be back. And that to me was dope because
I did not see that.
Yeah, I wondered. Yeah, it was officially confirmed. It saw it on the Disney Twitter page.
Yep.
And
it was a presentation.
The most interesting things about that for me, for one, I think it's funny because I think it's obvious to anyone who pays attention and loves this franchise and cares as much as we do that Incredible Hulk was always MCU canon. But there's a lot of fans who felt like it was kind of divorced from the MCU. This is outright proof that that's not the case. You know, we already got
the characters literally show up throughout. Like we got Thunderbolt Ross. Peter's teacher was in the movie from Spider-Man. So they literally said that was the same guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least,
Abomination.
At the very least, General Ross is the same guy from Hulk. So that confirms it.
So, I mean, unfortunately, I haven't really gotten a chance to see the full I feel like a fake Marvel fan now, but I haven't gotten a chance to see the full movie because it's nowhere on any streaming services. It's not on Disney Plus because Disney doesn't own it. It's not It's not on anything else. So I can't watch it. I really want to watch this movie because it's like the one thing that I'm missing. It's just like how have I not watched Hulk yet?
Send me your address. I will mail you my copy. I swear to God.
I think it's on iTunes if you want to rent it.
I got you. I've got a DVD copy of it. I got you.
There we go. Well, you heard it here first. So I'm gonna watch Hulk now. But
the other thing about Abomination. And then the other thing that was confirmed. So back in, I want to say March, might have been May, the Illuminati dropped an exclusive that Mark Ruffalo was signed on to She-Hulk. Guess what else was confirmed? Mark Ruffalo is going to play a role. Illuminati's got your back. And so something occurred to me in Endgame when he's explaining to Ant-Man how he became Professor Hulk. He just says, I spent like 16 months in the Gamma Lab and I mixed the brains and the brawn.
Yes.
But they don't really explain how that happened. Abomination retained the intelligence, at least for the most part, of Emil Blonsky, right? I wonder if we might see if Abomination had some sort of role in how Bruce Banner was able to crack that, was able to merge the two. I don't, that's just speculation, but I think that could be a really interesting thing to explore in the show.
I haven't thought about that, but that could be why they're bringing Abomination back. He could be a really integral player in this series now. I mean, I'm excited to see him come back. We haven't seen him since The Incredible Hulk, and I'm glad Ruffalo's coming back. I think they're really going to dive into like the backstory of all three of them: She-Hulk, Abomination, and Bruce Banner as the Hulk. And obviously they're going to go the route of, Bruce giving his blood to Jennifer Walters to turn her into She-Hulk. They can't not do that. And it's just great to see more Hulk stuff, to see more depth given to the Hulk in the MCU, because outside of the Incredible Hulk, we don't really have much.
With all this multiverse stuff going on right now, I'm almost half expecting Edward Norton to show up at some point.
God,
just say, hey, I'm Hulk.
Oh my God!
Like, who's this guy?
I think that might be a little much even for me.
I want that to like what if what if it does something with that where like Edward Norton shows up.
What if Edward Norton is the Hulk?
There's an episode of What If where it's like, what if Edward Norton never quit or something?
How
that
meta
would be hilarious.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Incredibly fourth wall breaking. That'd be dope.
Speaking of meta, they should totally introduce Deadpool in What If. Just because What If Deadpool was in the MCU the whole time? Because
that would be perfect. Baller. Oh my God! I've never thought of that. That's the new goal. That's my dream.
Yes.
If that's how they bring him in. Yeah. I think it was interesting because it was the only piece of non-news from the announcement that stood out to me. So they Disney Twitter that was covering all this, because I went through and I was just bookmarking everything. They mentioned Moon Knight, right? But while we saw Tatiana Maslany confirmed for She-Hulk and and Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop, other characters who we basically knew or at least believed were cast, they didn't confirm Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight.
No.
Which is
that
weird.
Not confirmed before?
So it was reported by the trades that he was in the final stages of negotiation, which like
I think it was reported by
sure,
Deadline first. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we read that, we basically go, oh well, this means he's it, right? Like if a Hollywood trade is reporting this, people trust them wholeheartedly. Yeah. Whether or not that's smart, maybe a different matter, but I'm still mad.
I reported that as confirmed on my show. Whoops, but
and so it basically was, and I do expect Oscar Isaac to still be playing the role, but it was weird that they didn't confirm it here. It makes me think that just makes me think it's possible we're going to see another guy in the role. And I love Moon Knight. That's easily the project I'm most excited for. Out of anything, because I just have such a deep love for Mark Spector and for that whole corner of the Marvel universe. And I think Oscar Isaac would be good, but I think there might be a better option out there. So
I don't know. Whenever I heard Oscar Isaac, I was like, okay, like I'm digging this. Like I was really excited to hear Oscar Isaac. I didn't know that wasn't confirmed. So yeah, that kind of gets me a little worried because I was totally down for Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight. So
yeah, they confirmed the director. They confirmed that the series is happening, obviously. But I did find it a little weird that they didn't confirm Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight. I mean, at this point, I'm assuming it's confirmed until we hear otherwise. But that was interesting, Corbin. I did find that interesting that they didn't officially confirm that along with all the other castings.
Well. And I don't want to sidebar to Star Wars too much because I know we have a bad habit of that already. But another weird thing that happened with the Star Wars announcements is that they're supposed to be filming Boba Fett right now, and they didn't announce Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's another one of those weird ones. Like, what's going on with that? Like is this going to be a spoiler to the Mandalorian or what? Because isn't it being reported by most of the major trades that they're filming right now? So is he supposed to be on one of the different shows? Like is he supposed to be in Rangers of the New Republic? But even then, Boba Fett would never join the New Republic. So
here's my bet on that. There was so much announced, especially for Marvel, but also for Star Wars and Disney overall. Maybe they just didn't want to overcrowd it too much, and maybe they just want to give it its own shine.
Maybe, but I mean, it's supposed, if they're filming right now, it's either going to come out right before Mandalorian or right after.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just so confused on what's going on with Boba Fett. Did we all get doofed? Is it like not happening? I don't know. That one's really weird.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where they go with that. What Tamara Morrison's future in the role is. I think it would be weird if they didn't. I think Boba Fett is such an easily marketable property. People fell in love with the character when he first showed up in the Star Wars Holiday Special in 1978, and people have never stopped loving him since. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Speaking of holiday specials,
holiday specials,
we mentioned I Am Groot.
Yes.
The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, live action. It's directed, produced by James Gunn.
There could not be better Marvel characters to do that with.
Amen. Yeah,
I'm still loving that segue. Hold on, I need to take that in for a second.
We got good segues in this show.
Man, that was a great segue.
I honestly, I'm hoping that it is a weird variety show in the vein of the Star Wars Holiday Special, except doesn't suck. That and that's one thing where
I want it to just like not suck like as in this is like, oh man, this is terrible, but ironically, it's like supposed to be that way.
Just be ridiculous more than anything.
Yeah, and I am one who very much likes the MCU to have nice, neat canon, and it kind of really bugs me when it doesn't. This is the only property in the MCU that's ever been announced where I'm like, screw it, don't worry about that. Just be weird, crazy, as out there as possible. Just have fun with it. You know what I'm saying?
And also, I think maybe even the bigger news than the fact that there's going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, they said it's going to be coming out holiday 2022, preceding Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which it seems like that's going to come out in 2023. So it's nice to kind of get an official-ish timeline for it. I mean, we expected it to come out around then anyways, but it's nice to hear some kind of at least news alluding to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
another piece, like speaking of just continuity and stuff, one thing that I didn't even realize until this morning, they recast Cassie for Ant-Man 3.
Yes.
It was just kind of weird because she obviously doesn't do anything in Endgame really, but
She's got about 2 scenes and that's it.
I thought she looked the role perfectly. Obviously I don't have any experience with that character's work outside of it. I think Catherine Newton, she's blonde, and I think Cassie is generally blonde in the comics, so I guess she's got that going for her. But I was a little bit bummed to see the recasting there. It felt
Me too.
unnecessary, but we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, I hope it works out.
I don't know. I don't know has the new actress been in anything? Like, were they going for like a bigger star, or
She was in the recent Vince Vaughn movie.
Yeah, Freaky.
Freaky, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe they're going for more star power with this one. I
Could
don't
be.
know, because I like you said, she was only in like 2 scenes in Endgame, so it's pretty easy just to recast, and probably most people won't even notice, especially the general movie going audience. So,
and I hope she does a good job. I really do.
Yeah, I don't know what the age difference between those 2 actors is, but part of me wonders if. And I'd have to look to see if there even is one. But if there is a notable age difference between Catherine Newton and I apologize, but I can't remember what the name of the actress from
Emma
Endgame
Furman.
is. Emma Furman. If there is a notable age difference between those 2, that could imply that we're going to see a significant few-year time gap in between Endgame and Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania.
Yeah.
what a great name, Corbin. Man, you got to liven up a little bit because that is an absolutely glorious name. Oh man.
If there's any franchise in the Marvel Universe that can get away with having just a cheesy, schlocky title like that, it is the Ant-Man franchise. So
Well, you gotta remember on the Illuminerdi, I'm the Power Rangers guy, so cheese is kind of my go-to. So yeah, Quantumania is perfect. Oh man. Yeah, like I said, number 1 on the top 10 titles list right there.
Yeah, that's going to be a crazy movie.
Yeah.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah.
What other big news do we have from the
Well,
announcement?
one I was just thinking about, Miss Marvel and Monica Rambeau are confirmed now for Captain Marvel 2.
Yep.
So that's going to be a crazy team up. Obviously, it looks like Brie Larson's excited for it. I think Iman Vellani she's gonna break out as a major star when she debuts as Miss Marvel. Everything we've seen so far from her, we got a short little tease of her in footage from Captain Marvel. It was only a few seconds, or Miss Marvel, sorry.
Mhm.
I think Monica Rambeau is going to be awesome. Tiana Paris I think she's going to kick some ass in that role. And the fact that they're coming together with Brie Larson in the sequel, that's going to be a big time movie.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. Yeah, I think I'm particularly excited to see Monica Rambeau. She's gone by the character's gone by a variety of different names in the comics. I think she was originally Captain Marvel. She's also been like Spectrum and Photon. My only familiarity with her was in the Ultimate series, and that she is crazy overpowered. Like her powers are tied to, I think, like the electromagnetic spectrum or the light spectrum or something like that. She's just insanely strong. So it'll be interesting to see her and to see a Captain Marvel, our Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, and then Miss Marvel all in one movie is going to be pretty cool. Without a doubt. But yeah, I think Miss Marvel, going back to what we were talking about with the canonicity of the Disney Plus TV shows, or not the Disney Plus TV shows, the pre-Disney Plus TV shows like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Defenders, all that good stuff. Yeah. That's going to be interesting too because Miss Marvel is an Inhuman, and both Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and obviously the Inhumans TV series dealt with Inhumans heavily. So we've seen the royal family. We have a Black Bolt, we have a Medusa, we have Gorgon, Karnak, and Lockjaw in the MCU, right? And then in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., what a very important arc of the show was when Terrigen was released into the environment. And so you saw new humans rising up throughout the globe. And to me, it would be absolutely incredible if those elements were tied into Miss Marvel. If we could see Quake as a mentor to Miss Marvel in this show, that would be mind-blowing. I don't think it's very...
I loved the way that they did the Inhumans, at least in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. I mean, the Inhuman show is the Inhuman show.
Yeah, is Inhumans canon? Like, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'm not sure if I want it to be because it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But,
I would argue that Inhumans is canon right now because, it has elements that tie it to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I consider Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. up until season 5 to be canon, right?
Yeah. So
I would say yes.
Like, can you explain that part to me? Because I haven't watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
So I am so confused on the whole debacle with that. So
basically, here's how it went down. In seasons 1 through 4, they're ostensibly, like, without a doubt, part of the Marvel Universe. You have a direct tie to Captain America: Winter Soldier. You have the Theta Protocol. Yeah, Thor: The Dark World. They have a whole episode that revolves around that. The Theta Protocol is basically
literally
shows that
Avengers showing up in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, the helicarrier. They show that Nick Fury and Coulson basically were. Fury says in Age of Ultron, some old friends helped me dust this off. That was the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That was Coulson. Right? And so then at the end of season 4, though, in like the very last scene, you see Phil Coulson out in space. And then in season 5, you come to find out that there's this group of like sentient alien android things called Chromicons. And season 5 is all about time travel, right? So there's a bunch of time travel that goes on. And then, like I said, so at the end of season 5, they set it up to sync directly with Infinity War. They say Thanos is coming. They mention the Black Order arriving in New York, right?
They're
and then
back in the timeline.
In season 6, then there's a 1-year time jump from season 5 to season 6. But there's no snap. There's no mention of the decimation. The entire team is still intact. So that just doesn't make sense. And it was so painful for me watching season 6 and 7 because I'm just sitting there waiting for them to address that, waiting for them to use some sort of time travel, sci-fi, whatever, to explain that, and they never did, right?
Because that's what I was getting ready to say. Like, they were doing all that time travel stuff in season 4. So who's to say that they didn't just change something like just like a little like a tiny bit, and then that's where the shift happened.
So that's basically the way that it goes. Fans were just left to believe that due to the time travel that happened in season 5, that somehow put the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on a timeline exactly the same as the main Marvel Universe, but where for some reason Thanos didn't win. The Avengers won Infinity War and the snap didn't happen. But that has never been outright confirmed or addressed by the show or any creative heads at Marvel Universe. So the way I see it, seasons 1 through 4 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. canon. Time travel BS in season 5 puts them on a different timeline, and then the remaining seasons they're like Loki, right? So that's kind of the gist of that.
I think that's a good way to look at it. I mean, I wish, like, obviously they would, explain that for fans, obviously, like you, who watch the show all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a pretty safe way to look at it. I feel like if they were to explain it, that's probably how they would.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's the only logical way, really. But what else was really tough? So in season 7, there's a lot of time travel as well. And they talk about getting to the original timeline, but they don't, like, the original timeline is not the original MCU timeline. It's like still removed. And it just hurt because I thought we were going to get resolution on that. And no.
Yeah.
But I just hope with this Inhuman stuff that you were mentioning, I really hope they do it right, because the Inhumans could be so cool integrated with the rest of the MCU. And Miss Marvel is an Inhuman in the comics. So I really hope they go that route, that they do it right. Maybe even if they don't reference the Inhuman show or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I hope they get it back on the right track with this Miss Marvel.
I mean, they have to touch on Terrigen in some way,
Absolutely.
shape, or form, right? And as far as we know, the only groups that had any interaction with Terrigen were characters who appeared in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then the Inhuman royal family, who the series ends with basically Adelan, where the Inhumans are based out of. It's a city on the moon that gets destroyed, and they set up base in Hawaii. So they're gonna have to touch on Terrigen, even if they for some reason want to ignore everything else. So they're gonna have to address it in some way, shape, or form. How that will be, we'll see.
Inhumans is another question mark I've got. So was the show actually supposed to be a limited series, or did they just go oh crap, and then retroactively make it a limited series? Because
sure, it was supposed to go on longer, and it just stopped.
No, it was not. The problem with Inhumans, if you ask me, was god awful marketing. Just terrible marketing. Because I watched Inhumans in theaters, actually. The first two episodes they aired back to back as an IMAX event. And I thought that was a really cool idea that they didn't promote at all. And so no one cared, right? And even the quality of the show from like a critical standpoint aside, the fact that like this was supposed to be a big event, was supposed to be taking that era of Marvel TV and being like, can we do this on the big screen, and trying to test those waters? There was no marketing push for it whatsoever.
And here's my thing. Inhumans was supposed to be a film in phase 3. That's what it was announced as at the El Capitan event in 2014. I was excited for that movie. I was excited to see where they would have taken it, because they were just starting to go that route on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I just hope they do the Inhumans right going forward.
Well, yeah, it seemed like, to me anyway, from the outside looking in, because I didn't watch Inhumans, I never even heard of the Inhumans before that announcement, and so because I was only like 13 whenever they did that, but so it seemed like to me that their Inhumans was kind of their, hey Fox, look at this, we're gonna make a competitor to your X-Men. Right. But then they got the X-Men back. So we're like, well, we don't need Inhumans anymore. And then just kind of toss it out to the side.
Yeah, it was, I think there was definitely, it felt like a good amount of animosity towards Fox from Marvel at that point in time. And there's several reasons that I feel like that. One, part of my issue with the Inhumans in the MCU, in Inhumans and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there were several characters who felt like blatant ripoffs of mutants.
Oh, absolutely.
For example, I can't remember what his name is, but there's this character in the Inhumans TV show they set up to be like this big, terrifying threat. They're like, he's death incarnate. And he shows up, and he's some guy with the powers of Cyclops. I swear to God, that's it. And then there was a character who was basically a stand-in for Kitty Pryde in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And they were also a lot more humanized, right? And I think what makes the Inhumans cool, when their stories are good, they're a cosmic alien space opera in the vein of Star Wars, right? Like a lot of mutants look a lot like just an average human. Like, you wouldn't know that they were mutants until they use their powers. With the Inhumans, I like it when they look just crazy, when they're just not necessarily
they can look both ways.
Yeah. And I think mostly due to budgeting reasons, you don't really get that so much on the Inhumans and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They largely just look like people. There's a few exceptions, and then the other thing was the comic side of things. Right around when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was pushing the Inhumans big, and when the TV show came out, you saw a huge push for the Inhumans in Marvel Comics. There was an Inhumans versus X-Men series. We saw relaunches for Black Bolt and Medusa, and just the Inhumans line in general. The tough thing was that these didn't really stick. They weren't very popular. There was some good stuff to be found. There was some mediocre stuff as well. And it was around the same time that Fantastic Four came out. And, it was just from the outside looking in, but it felt like Marvel really didn't like Fox for that one. And I'll wrap up this tangent real quick, but I don't think this was ever outright confirmed. But to me, it seemed like they made that Fantastic Four movie solely so that they could keep the rights, right? Because, there's a clause in the contracts where if you don't use these characters in film within a certain amount of time, the rights revert back to Marvel. And Fantastic Four 2015 came out right when their Fantastic Four rights were about to expire. And so I think
same thing that happened with Blade.
Yeah. Exactly. And so I think Marvel was pissed about that, and so they said, you know what, screw the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, because the Fantastic Four dropped off the face of the planet after the Secret Wars event. They were just like, they were nowhere to be found for years. So yeah, I think you're definitely right. There was definitely a lot of animosity there. It was kind of weird.
Well, hey, all I can say is thank goodness we are getting a Marvel Studios Fantastic Four movie. This is gonna blow the other three out of the water.
Well, I remember whenever Fantastic came out back in 2015, and my local theater straight up just didn't even play it. Like,
damn.
Like I had to totally not watch it online to watch the film because well, and I'm glad I did, because I would have wasted my money going to the theater. But I mean, well, totally legally, by the way, watch it online. But who cares? It was Fantastic. But anyway, but yeah, my local theater didn't even play Fantastic. Like,
good.
So yeah, it was so. And one of the kid of the owner of the theater was in my class or my grade, and I'm like, hey, why aren't you playing Fantastic Four? And just like, well, we're only gonna play movies that we think people are gonna see, you know. Yeah. Well, he was right though. I mean, they were right to not play it, because nobody would probably go see it.
No.
It was one of the lowest grossing Marvel movies of all time. Like, I think like Punisher, Warzone, and like Elektra, maybe Howard the Duck were like the only ones beneath it.
Yeah.
Well, like, I can guarantee you this: Marvel Studios Fantastic Four is going to be $1 billion movie.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
As long as everything's normal, that is going to be a hit. John Watts is directing it. They're gonna get the cast right, no matter how we feel about Emily Blunt. But it's going to be incredible. In Marvel Studios' hands, I trust that they're going to make an incredible movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. I'm especially with John Watts at the helm. I'm really pumped for Fantastic Four. So,
and I think the other big thing about Fantastic Four is, while it appears that King the Conqueror is being set up to be our next immediate villain, I think everyone expects Doom and Galactus to be the next big bads after that. And that's just speculation, but those are both explicitly Fantastic Four villains, right? So if these are going to be...
Galactus from Fortnite?
Yes, Galactus from Fortnite. You nailed it. But yeah, I think, you know, if these characters by all means should have the same level of gravitas and just insanity and just have that terrifying nature that Thanos had. And in order to get that right, you're going to have to get the Fantastic Four franchise right. A lot rests on it. I think it's in good hands with Watts, though. And
here's my thing, too, with Fantastic Four. I kind of hope they maybe take the Spider-Man route and not go with quite as used villains before. Maybe don't start off with Doctor Doom or Galactus. I don't know a lot of the specific Fantastic Four villains, but maybe put one of the other ones into the spotlight the way they did with Vulture and Mysterio. And, you know, you could build that up to be a huge franchise going forward. And then, you know, the Doctor Dooms of the world and the Galactuses of the world could be still Fantastic Four villains, but they could linger throughout the MCU going forward, because the Fantastic Four is going to be around for a while.
I'd argue that it'd be a little difficult with Doctor Doom because he is so integral to the origin of the team.
I do agree with that.
So I don't know if that's going to be quite possible unless this is going to be a Fantastic Four team that's already been formed for a while, but then they've got to explain where they've been and why we haven't seen them yet. So I see where you're coming from, and I definitely agree. It's just the problem is that I don't know how you do a Fantastic Four origin without Doctor Doom.
Yeah, and I'm not saying don't do Doctor Doom. Do Doctor Doom.
Right, no. Yeah,
I have my fan cast for Doctor Doom, but yeah.
I definitely agree that it would be cool if they try to do him later. I just don't know how possible that's going to be. Because Doctor Doom is a major like Thanos level villain that they need to grow over time. But I just don't see them doing the Fantastic Four origin without Victor Von Doom. So yeah.
Personally, I would love to see Namor the Submariner as the first villain of the Fantastic Four franchise. I think
I want to see
Namor,
him come in somehow.
yeah, Namor kicks ass. He is a fantastic and horribly underrated character. He has every right, and by all means should be just as popular as Arthur Curry over at DC. Aquaman is
Agreed.
nothing compared to Namor, if you ask me anyways. I think Namor is way more nuanced, way more interesting, way more complex. He's a mutant too, so you can tie him into the X-Men. He can be the link between the X-Men franchise and the Fantastic Four franchises. He has a long-standing history with the Fantastic Four, both in villainous roles, and then him, Sue, and Reed actually have been part of a kind of unique love triangle on multiple different occasions.
Yeah.
And I think John Watts has shown a love, like you said, for those classic kind of utilized villains like Mysterio and Vulture. And I think Namor fits the bill perfectly. I think he's right in that same kind of grouping.
Also, one last thing before we go on. I had written an exclusive with the Illuminerdi a while back that Marvel's working on an Illuminati movie.
Mm-hmm.
Namor's in the Illuminati. Reed Richards is in there. There's a bunch of characters going forward that you could really set up to be a good Marvel Illuminati team. So this could be the start of it with Fantastic Four.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And Namor, I think, has the ability to be more popular than Aquaman, but he just hasn't really had a movie yet, you know? Whereas Aquaman has had a movie, it made $1 billion. So I feel like if Namor got a movie or was at least like featured prominently in Fantastic Four, like you said, and I never really thought about that, but yeah, they could do a really cool love triangle thing with Reed Richards, Sue Storm, and Namor, to where he can almost take the place of Dr. Doom in that part of the story. So
put Namor in a movie and he's going to succeed.
Yeah.
No.
So I feel like to get Namor as popular as Aquaman, you just got to get him out there, you know, because I agree, like, Namor is definitely more complex of a character than Aquaman, but nobody's heard of him because there hasn't really been a movie yet. So
Yes.
I mean, if they don't have a movie, the general audience probably hasn't heard of it yet. So it's just kind of the thing.
Yeah, I think part of the one potential obstacle, and I say potential because unlike Spider-Man, where we know Spider-Man was confirmed for one more movie, Spider-Man 3, and an appearance, we don't know the exact details of the deal between Universal and Marvel Studios, but there is some rights complications there with the Hulk characters, and at least in the not too far in the past, Namor. Right. It's the reason that Mark Ruffalo has never starred in his own Hulk movie. And I imagine the reason, at least part of the reason, they decided to do a She-Hulk a Disney Plus series instead of a film, right? Because it's possible that they could just circumvent those issues by going to Disney Plus instead of theatrical release. That may be part of why we haven't seen Namor yet, and that may make it difficult to see him. But again, we just don't know the specifics of that contract. So hopefully Universal plays ball.
Speaking of TV show, movie rights kind of thing. So who has the TV rights to Spider-Man?
That's a great question.
I wish I had a good answer for you. I don't know.
Maybe Disney, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, because Disney makes those the animated shows, right? On Disney XD.
Yes.
So if something were to happen, couldn't they just make a Spider-Man Disney Plus show? Or even if they just wanted to do one right now, couldn't they?
Well, okay. The question with that is Silk, though, right? Because a Silk TV show was confirmed to be in development from Sony, not from Marvel Studios. So that would imply that maybe Sony has the rights to live action Spider-Man TV, but maybe that's just Silk. I don't really know. That's a really good question.
Could be.
So, and it also could be maybe they have Marvel has the animated TV rights. But then also, well, I think that is what it is because I know Sony was having a really tough time because they were trying to make Into the Spider-Verse TV spinoffs, but they were having a really hard time because of Disney, I think. So I think that might be what it is. I think Disney has the animated TV rights, then Sony has the live action probably.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and if I remember, obviously Silk's the only one that's been announced, but I think a while back Sony announced that they were planning a few other Spider-Man spin-off TV series. It'll be interesting to see what those are, but
Right.
yeah.
Well,
That's
Whatever happened to Silver and Black?
I think just creative differences. I think tore that movie
I
apart.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be
Well,
cool
hey,
to see.
I think that'd be a cool team up, but they got to make it first, you know.
Yeah. Hey, hopefully Marvel and Sony can work out whatever their thing is, because so if Sony tries to do this whole spunk thing the way that they're trying to do, they're going to have a lot of competition with what Marvel's bringing over the next few years. I mean, after yesterday, everybody's going to be looking up at Marvel for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. Yeah. The dream is that the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters, the spunk, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU, are become just one and the same. That is the hope, and I think that's going to be the most beneficial for both companies. But it's, like you said, Bryce, it's certainly possible that we're going to see those be competitors rather than teammates after Spider-Man 3. It's just it's a matter of time until we find out.
Well, we'll find out whenever we see the articles of Tom Hardy reprises his role as Venom in Spider-Man 3 or whatever, So
exactly.
I'd honestly be surprised if Venom and Morbius don't appear in this movie, because especially Morbius seems to really be trying to tie itself in, and this is kind of the let's tie everything in kind of movie. So if they're really trying to rope Venom and Morbius in, I feel like Spider-Man 3 is probably going to be it, even with all everything that they're trying to cram into that movie. So,
well, the movie just started filming recently, and there's a year till it comes out. We're going to have to keep our ears open for a ton of Spider-Man 3 news over the next year.
Without a doubt. Yeah, we got an insane amount of great stuff coming up. And keep tuning into It's All Connected. We're gonna be right here talking about it on a weekly basis. This show's been an absolute blast just doing these past couple weeks. Is there any other big news that we haven't covered today, guys? Or we hit everything?
Covered.
And did anything DC happen?
my Peacemaker news. That's about it. Judo Master is a character like Peacemaker that was originally from Charleston Comics, and then they were bought out by DC, folded into the main universe. He was a soldier who I think he saved this chief of some Pacific Island nation's daughter, and then they taught him judo. And then Sarge Steele is the other character that we think is going to be in Peacemaker. And he's pretty simple. He's kind of a Nick Fury type, just a special agent, but he's got a metal hand. So that makes him unique, I guess.
That's fun.
Yeah, that was really it.
Yeah. And we're going to spend the next probably 2-3 weeks dissecting those new trailers and picking out every little bit of information that we can. And then just waiting for more trailers in the next few months, too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. I feel like they dumped the load on us there for a while. I feel like next week is going to be kind of light.
It very well could be.
So,
but no, we got dumped on in the best of ways, and we got a good future ahead with the MCU going forward.
Sure.
Yeah, it's all onwards and upwards from here. It's going to be great. But I should probably get going. But yeah, thank you guys for doing this show with me. I'm excited to see where this goes from here and keep doing it on a weekly basis. But yeah,
thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Hey, everybody.
Don't forget.
See ya.
All right.